The girl is standing on a huge birthday cake decorated with candles and strawberries. Princess Aria, the only daughter of the noble Duke of Traveling, was finally celebrating her 11th birthday. The girl gets out of bed and looks out the window. She was happy that day. She rises up on her toes and looks out the window. She tried not to think about the scene she saw last time. She gets a hug. She says everything will be okay. Aria looks out the window again, remembering the scene with the fallen cake. Someone threw the cake on the ground. Aria sits sadly in the chair with her hands folded in her lap. She ponders how a princess could do such a thing. A young man appears on the throne, depicted in luxurious clothing. He was the chosen heir and became their king. A winter palace with many people inside doing different things. One day she realized that she was wrong. The young man turns to the girl who is kneeling in front of him. One day she realized that her life was a lie. Aria runs down the hallway, casting a shadow on the wall. Now she had found the real path. She wanted him to wish her a happy birthday just once. She stands with a bloody dress, her body streaked with ice. She opens her eyes with the last of her strength and sees ice crystals in front of her. He looks at her with a cold expression on his face. She remembers her father hating her so much. She falls down, feeling her strength leave her. He looks at her, realizing it's ending. He looks away, realizing that it will all be over soon. Princess Aria died from Emperor Cyril's anger and desire for vengeance. Cyril went mad and froze everything around her. Thus came the end of one of the worlds. The girl reads the book and sighs, a hopeless story. She reflects on the fact that she bought this book because of the beautiful cover and is glad she didn't read the whole thing. She reflects on the fact that she came home from work tired and is now reading a silly book. She wonders what she's even doing. She keeps thinking that she stayed at the office until late yesterday, and this is her third day of working without a day off. She feels tired and driven, wanting to escape from reality, but suddenly her thoughts are interrupted. She looks at the book and wonders why the emperor cried at the end and destroyed the world. She wonders if it is possible that after his loss, he finally realized how dear the people he lost were to him. She lies down on her bed and continues to ponder the plot of the book, thinking that she may have misunderstood something. She admits that the story is unpleasant and she doesn't care what the true meaning is. She has to go back to work tomorrow, and anyway, the plot of the book is strange. She's lying in bed thinking that there are other things in life. She hears a voice calling her princess. She opens her eyes and sees an unfamiliar environment, realizing that this is not her home. She realizes it is a dream and wonders where she is. She is called Princess Aria and is offered milk. She sees an infant and wonders why it is here. She looks at herself and sees that she too has become an infant. She panics, wondering what is going on, and realizes that her body is not obeying her. She is offered a drink of milk, and she, not realizing what is happening, agrees. She feels her body automatically accept the milk, though she is confused. She thinks it's all a dream and that she's just overprocessed, and now she's seeing strange things. She realizes that she has turned into an infant and doesn't understand what is happening to her. She sees a woman who smiles at her and wishes her to grow big and healthy. The woman calls her Princess Aria. She opens her eyes and wonders why she is called Aria, realizing it is not her name. The woman takes her in her arms and carries her into another room. She feels someone walking towards her, and that person seems cold and commanding. She feels her heart start to beat faster. She sees the man and realizes she saw him on the cover of a book. She looks at his feet and realizes that this is Princess Aria's father, the Emperor of the Freeze Empire. He is a tyrant, a ruthless emperor who turns anyone who dares to oppose him into ice. She begins to panic as she realizes that she has somehow become Princess Aria. Her mind races with thoughts of what this means for her and her future. She realizes that she has found herself at the center of the story she has been reading. The tyrant and his empire is now her reality, and she must find a way to survive. She looks at the emperor with horror, realizing that her new life will be full of danger and hardship. She has become Princess Aria, and her story is just beginning. She feels her heart begin to freeze with fear. She sees him approach, his footsteps sounding menacing. Emperor Cyril is Princess Aria's birth father, but now he looks at her as if he wants to harm her. The woman holding her asks the emperor in a panic what he is going to do. He looks at them with a cold expression, and she realizes that her fate is in his hands. She is scared. She thinks that death might not be the worst outcome. The woman holding her screams and begs the emperor not to kill the child, reminding him that this is his only daughter. She suddenly realizes that this is not just a dream, but her new reality, and now she must survive at all costs. The woman continues to plead, reminding her that Princess Aria must live. She feels her heart pounding and hopes that she can escape her doom. The woman risks her life to protect her, trying to convince the emperor to do no harm. The heroine screams for the emperor not to hurt innocent people. She is scared, cries and tries to speak, but only babbles. The woman calls her a princess, and the heroine thinks she shouldn't abuse her position, even if she is royalty. The emperor looks at her and says she has a beautiful character and clearly wants to say something, but her time is up. The heroine thinks she's going to be killed and feels afraid. The maid Katie comes into the room and sees the emperor. She asks permission to clean everything in the room. The emperor tells her to put things in order and leaves, leaving the woman and the heroine behind. Katie worries about the heroine, wondering if she is crying. The heroine thinks she was scared and was already sure she was going to die. She feels the hatred coming from the emperor, but realizes that he didn't kill her. She recalls the strange feeling after finishing the book and realizes that she wasn't returned to her world. Katie greets her, and the heroine realizes that it has been 3 days since she became Princess Aria. She thinks her real name is Anna. Perhaps she died of recycling and ended up here. A woman holds the heroine on her lap and reads her a book. The heroine realizes that she now has to start a new life as Princess Aria. She reflects on the fact that if everything goes as in the book, Emperor Cyril will kill her when she turns 17. The woman says it's time to eat, and notices that the princess is smiling more often. She is happy about this, but worries that some monster might hurt the girl. The heroine is surprised to think about the fact that there were no monsters in the book. She asks herself why the woman is talking about monsters. The woman reassures her by telling her that the castle is protected by a barrier and no monster can get in. The heroine calms down, but still worries if there is someone fighting monsters. The woman asks if the heroine didn't like something. The heroine thinks about how strange and new it is to her. The woman tells her that this is the Frese Empire, ruled by Emperor Cyril. She looks at the heroine with love and concern. The heroine notices the beauty of the world around her, but realizes that when she dies, this world will end. She feels that she has knowledge from the book that will help her survive. The heroine thinks about the fact that she did not die of exhaustion and realizes that she knows how to prevent her demise. She decides to use her knowledge and memory of history to change her future and avoid a tragic fate. The heroine realizes that she is in a book and that danger awaits her. She sees a man approaching her and her heart sinks. The man looks at her with a cold stare, and she wonders what he is doing here and why he has come. She thinks he has come to kill her, and she doesn't know what to do. Her thoughts are confused, and she fears that her death will lead to the destruction of the world. The heroine tries to understand why the man wants to kill her, and comes to the conclusion that he wants to protect the world from her. She begins to cry in hopes that she can somehow save herself. Her plan is to use her cuteness to protect herself. The man takes her in his arms, and she hopes her charm will work. To her surprise, he softens and her plan actually works. The heroine realizes that her father is really scary and thinks about how the real Princess Aria must have been afraid of him. But now the heroine is in the body of a princess, and she, as a girl working without rest for 31 days, is ready to use her cuteness to melt his heart. The man looks at her and she realizes that she is helpless, can do nothing, and depends on his grace. She thinks about the fact that he might kill her and asks for someone to save her. Her fear increases as he lifts her higher, but then he gently places her back in the crib. The heroine ponders why he is looking at her like that. She sees doubt in his gaze and thinks that he definitely wants to kill her. She watches him and doesn't realize which of the two images is the real him. This emperor who is lifting her up, or the one who is looking at her with the intent to kill her. The heroine sits with a book, contemplating her life as Princess Aria. She feels she must learn more about the new world. A woman notices the heroine reading and asks how it reads. The heroine shows her the page, and the woman reads aloud, Amanchas. The heroine thanks the woman and thinks about how Amanchas is the good god of this world. People can receive blessings from him. The heroine reads further and learns that through the blessing of spirits from this god, she can gain strength and protection. The woman notices that the heroine is reading a difficult book and marvels at her skill at such a young age. The heroine explains that she found the book interesting. The woman is surprised and says that at 4 years old, the heroine is already so smart. She adds that the book leaves a powerful impression and notes that the heroine started talking and reading very early. The heroine recalls how she started talking quickly, but reading came to her even earlier. The woman is proud of her progress. The heroine thinks about the fact that reading books is a good thing. She thinks that she must gain a lot of knowledge to avoid a bad end for herself and the world. She realizes that reading is good, but rest is also important. The woman suggests a walk in the garden, and the heroine agrees. They walk down the corridor, and the woman wonders if another visitor has already arrived. She is warned that it is long overdue. The heroine and the woman see a man who is introduced as the captain of the Knights of the Empire. He greets them and prepares to speak. The heroine sees the man, the chief wizard of the empire, who blesses her with the words, "May the good god Amanchas bless you." She notices that the emperor is still looking at her with the same cold gaze, but decides she will not fear him. The heroine smiles and thanks him for his work, thinking about going to the garden now. She runs up to the emperor, excited and promising to bring beautiful flowers if she finds any. The woman reminds the emperor that it is time to get down to business. He averts his gaze and agrees. The man warns that one must not go beyond the barrier or everything will freeze. The heroine thinks it was creepy, but tries not to show her feelings. The heroine notices how the emperor's mood changes when she's around and considers it a small success. She reflects on acting like the emperor's loving daughter, hoping to make him kinder before her 17th birthday. The heroine greets the emperor, calling him daddy and thanking him for his work. She realizes that her plan is slowly working. Although he still remains strict, she notices that he is becoming softer in her presence, and this gives her hope. She realizes that rumors of his softening have already begun to spread. The heroine realizes that she needs to be careful and continue to act carefully to avoid a bad ending. She goes out into the garden, thinking that any change takes time and she needs to be persistent and careful to succeed. The heroine notices that the queue has not yet bloomed and is a little disappointed. She thinks to herself that it is too early and looks at the surrounding nature. A woman nearby confirms her thoughts. The heroine wonders if flowers come in black, and the woman replies that there are no such flowers. The woman adds that there are no black flowers at all, and the heroine is surprised by this because she sees such a flower in front of her. The heroine hears the woman shout for her to move away and turns around, feeling uneasy. She doesn't realize what has happened and tries to figure out where she is. A strange atmosphere surrounds her. The heroine realizes that she is no longer on the castle grounds and feels fear of the unknown. She sees a wolf with 3 eyes and realizes that there is a monster in front of her that she needs to escape from. The heroine tries to run away, but stumbles and falls, feeling the fear growing. The wolf approaches her, and she realizes that she cannot wait and must do something to save herself. She screams in terror as the monster opens its maw, preparing to attack her, and desperately tries to find a way to escape. The heroine falls to the ground, feeling fear and despair. She sees a man reach out his hand. The man uses ice magic to stop the wolf. He commands the spirit of ice to deal with the monster. The wolf freezes under the influence of the magic, and the man calmly says, "Deal with it." The heroine realizes that he saved her and thanks him. She begins to explain that she saw a black flower in the garden and ended up in this strange place where the wolf appeared. She is trying to understand how it all happened. The man looks at her and says that there are no black queens. The man explains that it was a monster pretending to be a flower. The heroine is surprised and concerned. She yells to her father to be careful. The man looks around and sees that there are more monsters around them. The man uses ice magic to protect them. He says that the monsters should have run away as soon as he arrived. The heroine realizes how powerful he is. She thinks about how the emperor's power can freeze an entire world. The man explains that the monster lured her into the lair through distorted space. The heroine realizes that her father can handle any threat. The heroine feels safe around her father and realizes that he can truly protect her. She admires his strength and determination. She is grateful to him for saving her and realizes that she must be careful in the future to avoid getting into similar situations. The heroine wonders how the monster could have gotten through the castle barrier. The man hesitates and sighs, and the heroine is perplexed as to why he sighed. She remembers that she is only 4 years old and tries to figure out if that means monsters can get through the barrier. The man reaches out to the heroine and she looks at him, feeling anxious and worried. The heroine calls him father and feels fear overwhelm her. She realizes that she feels more frightened than before. The heroine realizes that the man believes that the weak die and that he has not come to save her. He believes that weak warriors, those who know little and are powerless, are victimized by others. The heroine realizes what this means for her. The man speaks the words of the spirit of ice, stating that the weak must die. The heroine realizes that he wants to get rid of the tainted blood. The heroine feels the coldness encompass her and realizes that the man truly believes in his philosophy. She realizes that her life is in danger and must find a way to deal with it. The heroine is among the ice crystals, feeling that things are very bad. A man orders the spirit of ice to get rid of the tainted blood, and the heroine realizes with horror that he is talking about her. The man tells her to disappear, and the heroine faints from fear and shock. The man lifts the heroine in his arms, figuring she still can't see what's going on around her. She wakes up in her room, surrounded by women. She tries to understand where she is and what has happened. The women explain that the emperor has returned with her and she has slept all day. The heroine begins to realize that the chilling emperor saved her, but is perplexed as to why she is still alive. She asks where Katie is and asks them to call her. The women reply that Katie can't come yet. The heroine is perplexed as to why Katie can't come to her and begins to worry if she's being attacked by monsters. The women explain that Katie is being blamed for failing to protect the heroine from danger, and so she can't meet her. The heroine realizes that her friend is being punished for her own protection. The heroine realizes that Katie has been imprisoned in a dungeon. She doesn't understand why this has happened, because Katie is not guilty of anything. The heroine guesses that it was her father's orders. She asks the women to call him to explain that it wasn't Katie's fault and that it was she herself who didn't move away from the black flower. The women tell the heroine that her job is to protect the princess and that they are all willing to sacrifice themselves for her safety. They are not surprised that they punished Katie because it is their duty to protect the heroine from any threat. The heroine realizes that they are always by her side, ready for anything. But despite this, she still disagrees with the decision to punish Katie. The woman suggests that the heroine talk to her father to explain what happened. She agrees and thanks the woman for her support. The woman says she'll pass on her words, but the heroine still hasn't met with the emperor even after sundown. She wonders what he is doing. The woman explains that the emperor saved her by returning home, and is surprised that the heroine thought her father wanted to kill her. The heroine ponders why her father is so cruel to other people, thinking it causes her more suffering. She comes to the conclusion that he really thinks it's for the best, calling him a cruel sadist. The woman informs the heroine that not only Mistress Katie has been imprisoned in the dungeon, but also the knights guarding the garden and the wizards in charge of the barrier. They are sure they will be released in a month, but the heroine apologizes for not being able to help. The heroine comforts the woman, telling her that everything is fine, and thanks her. She reflects that no one is to blame for what happened. The heroine thinks about how her father is punishing everyone because they can't resist him. She asks the woman to leave her alone, and the woman agrees, although she thinks it is not a good idea. Left alone, the heroine decides to go to her father herself. Even though he is busy, she is determined to find out the truth. The heroine heads for the door, determined to find her father on her own. She encounters 2 guards, but decides it's a bad idea to try to go through them. The heroine ponders that if she had magic, she could find a better place. She summons a spirit to get help and go to her father. The heroine tries to use magic, but nothing works. However, suddenly something happens, and she is surprised that she succeeds. She realizes that this is her chance and decides to act quickly. The heroine finds herself in an unknown place and screams in surprise as she realizes that the magic worked faster than she expected. She summons the wind spirit to realize where she is. She suddenly begins to fall and her consciousness becomes clouded. A man notices her and helps her, asking if she's okay. The heroine also inquires about his condition. The man who saved her apologizes, saying it was the first time he had lifted anything heavier than a cat. The heroine thanks him for saving her despite his difficulties. The man, looking at the heroine, thinks how beautiful she is. He notes her silver hair and suggests that she might be an heiress, since only His Majesty and heirs have hair like that. The man continues to think about her beauty and notices her blonde hair. He suggests that she may be special, as only the heirs of the castle have such hair. The heroine and her new acquaintance, Faye, run away, hiding from someone. Faye reassures her, telling her that they have not been spotted. The heroine, relaxing a bit, asks his name. Faye gives his name and tells her that his grandfather is the chief wizard of the empire, Lebenskraut. He adds that he is only 5 years old. The heroine ponders who Faye Sprout is and how he was able to become so talented at such a young age. She realizes that he is the heir to an aristocratic family, and now she understands why he is so good at magic. Faye explains that he trains in magic because on moonlit nights, magical power is amplified. He confesses that he went out sneaking around to practice when no one is around. The heroine, surprised by his abilities, asks if he knows how to become invisible. Faye is confused, wondering how she knows this, and becomes nervous. The heroine ponders that she only saw him invisible when she used her power to notice him. She thinks that maybe they can hold hands to become invisible together. Faye, hearing her plan, agrees and offers to hold hands. Suddenly, he exclaims that they should hide when they see someone ahead. The heroine asks for Faye's help, saying she wants to meet her dad. Suddenly, they are interrupted by someone. Faye, noticing someone ahead, asks what they are doing here. Suddenly, a man with a sword appears out of the shadows and prepares to attack. A new hero appears with a sword and asks Faye who he is and why Princess Dea is with him. The heroine asks the sword to be put away and explains that Faye is the grandson of the head wizard. Faye responds by asking the new hero who he is and why he walks around at night. The hero introduces himself as Ivan Rogue, son of the captain of the 3rd unit of the Imperial Night Guard. The heroine ponders the fact that he is the son of a captain of knights, but that doesn't mean he himself is also a knight. She is a little suspicious of Ivan for walking around the castle at such a late hour. Ivan explains that he brought his father's things to the dormitory and stayed the night there, then went out for a walk because he couldn't sleep. Despite this, he admits that going out at night is wrong and adds that he shouldn't be judged. The heroine explains that Faye wanted to practice magic in secret. She confirms that Ivan lives in the magician's dormitory, but Faye suddenly says that's not true. Faye claims that Ivan is lying because there is a completely different road leading from the dormitory to the training site. He asks Ivan if he is really from the guard. The heroine apologizes for the misunderstanding, admitting that she believed Ivan, but now her doubts have been reinforced by Faye's words. The chief wizard explains that he is worried about the girl in the dungeon and wanted to check on her. The hero realizes that the head wizard has also been imprisoned and apologizes, believing it is his fault since he was kidnapped. The heroine, turning to Faye, asks him not to blame himself, claiming that the barrier turned out to be holy. However, this leads to an argument between Faye and Ivan, who threatens to reveal their whereabouts. The heroine turns to Faye and offers to go to Papa together to convince him to free all the prisoners. Faye agrees and asks to be taken along, vowing to make them invisible. Ivan also asks to take him along. They plan to speak quietly so no one will hear or notice them. The heroine hopes that the magic will work correctly. The heroes gather and start moving, holding hands and relying on magic to go unnoticed. The heroine tells the boys that if they are afraid they can just leave, but Faye replies that he is more afraid of leaving her alone with the princess. An argument ensues between them. Ivan asks where His Majesty is. The heroine suggests that he is probably working in his study. She reasons that he is constantly busy and is probably working. The heroine suggests going to his bedroom if they don't find him in his study. Ivan clarifies if they know where the study is. Moving quietly through the castle, the heroes try not to attract attention. The heroine feels a little creepy, but is glad she is not alone. She hopes that the monsters won't penetrate the barrier this night. Faye explains that it's so quiet now because the wizards are idle. The heroine is surprised that it is possible to get through the barrier. She asks Faye to tell her more about it. He explains that only knights and wizards know about it, but that some high-level monsters can pass through the barrier unnoticed. Faye continues the explanation. He tells that it is very difficult to create a barrier that protects against all monsters. Wizards make efforts to maintain it every day. However, the monsters are also constantly looking for new ways to penetrate it, and this endless race continues. The heroine listens carefully to Faye's explanation. She realizes that maintaining the barrier requires a tremendous amount of effort and that even wizards find it difficult to cope with the constant attacks of the monsters. Ivan and the heroine keep moving as they discuss the information they have just learned. Ivan remarks that knowing about the barrier's weaknesses makes them vulnerable to monsters. Faye agrees and adds that they should be very careful. The heroine reflects on how difficult and dangerous it is to keep the castle safe, but is confident that together they can overcome any difficulties. The heroes continue on their journey, holding each other's hands and hoping that their plan will work. Their hearts are filled with determination and faith that they can find His Majesty and convince him to help all the prisoners of the castle. The hero is sitting at his desk, minding his own business. Suddenly, he is asked what he is doing so late. To this, he replies that he has come to talk. He sees 3 children and asks who is with her. One of the boys tries to say something, but another child interrupts him without letting him finish. A man addresses the boys by their names, Ivan Rawl and Faye Scroud. He says that since he knows them, he might not be confused. He then asks the girl what she wanted to talk about, distracting him from his work. The heroine informs him that Katie and the others are in the dungeon after her assassination attempt. She says she wants him to let them out because they are not guilty of anything. The man looks at her sternly and says that these people failed to protect the population from danger. The man disagrees and says that they were the ones who tipped her off. The heroine looks at him, surprised and in disbelief. She does not understand why he is accusing them of something that is not their fault. The heroine exclaims that no, they are not. She explains that she met them by chance and they helped her. The man replies that that's how it is, but points out that walking around at night with an heiress is an inexcusable act. He adds that he will send them to the dungeon. The heroine screams fearfully for him not to do that. The man says that she doesn't yet understand what it means to be an heiress. The man warns her to remember well what careless behavior can lead to. He adds that her whole family could go to jail for such a crime. The girl begins to realize that she needs to avoid not only dangerous situations, but also the guards guarding her room. The heroine yells in anger for him to wait. She says that if she has done wrong, let him punish her rather than everyone else. The man replies that punishing everyone is more effective than punishing just her alone. The man asks why she is protecting them. The heroine replies that if she was wrong, then only she should be punished. The child next to her excitedly calls her name, but she continues, thinking to herself that she'd rather be killed right there. The man asks in bewilderment if that's really true. He reminds her that he thinks they are incompetent because they failed to protect her. The heroine, with rage and resentment, says that he himself doesn't protect her, but instead attacks and intimidates her. She mentally notes that only she, his daughter, can talk to him like that. It's a little scary, but since she started it, she's going to say everything. She screams that she hates him and clenches her fists. The heroine exclaims in rage that she hates him. The man, stunned by her words, holds a quill in his hand, which begins to drip ink. The heroine, overwhelmed with emotion, screams that she hates him. The boys standing nearby observe her behavior with alarm. The man, hearing this, remains motionless, as if stunned by her words. One of the boys thinks to himself that the man is clearly in shock. The heroine continues, expressing her indignation, and mentally wishes that everything would freeze. The boys, concerned about the heroine's condition, ask her to apologize. She, on the other hand, says that she has endured for a long time, but she can't take it anymore. She reproaches the man for his anger, which is directed at everyone around him, and repeats that she hates him. The man, sensing her despair, wonders if she really wants to kill him, and suggests that she focus on him. The heroine, looking at him, thinks that those around her will be saved if he disappears. The heroine continues to wonder if he too thinks she wants to kill him. The man, seeing her state of mind, tries to understand what she means and asks if she really thinks so. She confirms that she thinks so because he attacked her. She recalls the moment when he injured her and questions why he is still alive if she really wants to kill him. The man explains that if she really wanted to kill him, he would be dead by now. The heroine ponders why he continues to torment her and feels fear of his actions. The man, seeing her confusion, decides to calm down. He agrees with her words and says that he understands her feelings. The heroine, hearing his reply, feels some relief, but is still wary. The two boys stand in front of the door, and one of them hears the man say that he is aware of their presence. He says their names, Oliver Rawl and Misha Scroud, and demands that they come out. The boys, surprised and frightened, look around and hesitantly step forward. One of them apologizes for his rudeness and apologizes to the great emperor, begging him to spare them. The heroine, upon seeing her parents, feels confusion. She thinks about the fact that her parents have been following them. The woman explains that they decided not to stop the children, respecting Princess Deia's will. The man, unhappy that the children are interfering with his work, orders them to stop talking. He is displeased that the children thought he wouldn't notice anything, and says he will discuss it with them in the dormitory. The woman turns to a boy named Fei and says they'll have a serious conversation too. He agrees, slightly concerned. The heroine, embarrassed by the situation, apologizes to the woman and the man, explaining that she was the one who asked the boys to come with her. She apologizes and apologizes for the fact that they might be punished because of her. She goes on to explain that if any of the boys were thrown into the dungeon because of her, she would not be able to bear it. The woman addresses her by name to get her attention. The heroine looks concerned and frightened, realizing that her actions could have had serious consequences. The woman explains to the heroine that His Majesty doesn't know how to express his feelings, but he holds her very dear. The heroine is surprised to hear this and asks if he really treasures her. The woman confirms this and adds that if he didn't, he would have frozen her as soon as she entered the study. The woman says it's getting late and offers to walk the heroine to her room. The heroine agrees and asks her to walk her. On the way, they pass guards who bow respectfully. The heroine lies down in her bed, reflecting on the past day. She tries to sleep, but can't. To calm herself, she picks up a book and starts reading. The heroine reads about Syria Freeze, the first prince of the kingdom of Freeze. She learns that when Prince Syria was 10 years old, assassins from the neighboring kingdom of Avalori killed the royal couple of Freeze. Prince Syria then took command of an army, attacked the kingdom of Avalori, and won a brilliant victory. He grew up and became emperor, uniting the kingdom of Freeze with the empire. 5 years later, the kingdom of Murda, a former ally of the Avalori kingdom, declared war on the empire. However, a knight in white armor, the commanding prince of Syria, repelled the attack. Murtha also became part of the empire. Many people resented this political influence of the Prince of Syria, but he froze all the dissenters. Everyone has long known that Emperor Syria is a cruel and ruthless ruler. The heroine continues reading, realizing that Emperor Syria can be very harsh indeed. She reflects on the fact that his methods of ruling led to the unification of the empire, but also brought much suffering. The heroine ponders, wondering if she really thought he wanted to kill her, and realizes that he really does care for her. These thoughts begin to bother her, and she continues to think about his actions. She reads on and thinks about why the emperor destroyed the world at the end of the original story. A question pops into her mind. Did he really plan this after all the killing? She wonders what if she changed the course of events and thinks that maybe she can prevent him from destroying the world. The heroine stands up and looks around her room. Her thoughts are occupied with the question, if Syria really isn't as bad as the story said, why isn't he killing her? She wonders why he is attacking her then. Her musings are interrupted when she hears someone calling her name. The heroine turns around and sees her maid, who informs her that she has been released from the dungeon. The heroine asks in surprise if she has indeed been released from the dungeon. The maid confirms this, adding that all those who were imprisoned in the dungeon by mistake were released this morning by order of His Majesty. The heroine remembers her request and thanks the maid for the news. She rejoices that everything has been resolved and now they are together again. The heroine ponders how she can thank her father for this. The maid, seeing the joy on the heroine's face, is relieved. However, she also apologizes to the princess for failing to protect her. The heroine, smiling, says that now they are together again, and that this is the most important thing. The maid sincerely apologizes to Princess Dea, feeling guilty for what happened. The heroine, seeing her sincere feelings, forgives her and says that everything will be okay now. She hopes that their future will be peaceful and happy. The heroine, seeing that the maid has fallen, anxiously asks what has happened. The maid replies that everything is fine. The heroine reassures her, telling her that if it is a black flower, there is no need to worry, as it is not her fault. The maid apologizes for being imprisoned because of the heroine, and promises to be more careful in the future. The heroine says that she is very kind and reminds her of Lady Leia. The heroine calls the maid Mama and admits that she has a request. She hesitantly adds that she would like to relieve her of the duty of taking care of her. The heroine, expressing her thoughts, asks the maid not to take care of her anymore, relieving her of this responsibility. The maid, touched by her words, feels grateful and relieved, but also a little sad to realize that the heroine is trying to be independent. The heroine asks the maid to relieve her of her duty of care. The maid looks at her sadly, and the heroine apologizes, saying that she is sorry. The heroine clarifies that she doesn't want the maid to fear punishment because of her. The maid explains that that's not the case. She says that she's worried because she doesn't think she can adequately protect the heroine. It is hard for her to admit, but she feels unable to fulfill her duties, which causes her great regret. The heroine, upon reflection, realizes how kind the maid is. She recalls that Maid Katri is from a family of merchants and used to be a common worker in the castle, until the heroine's mother, Princess Lala, made her her maid. The heroine recalls how the maid married an aristocrat and left the castle, but after a year her husband passed away and she returned. The heroine's mother supported her during this difficult period, and Katri became a maid again. Soon Katri married again and left the castle, but after a while she returned. After the birth of her child, Katri again faced difficulties, but Princess Lala surrounded her with care and support. The heroine realizes that her life after rebirth was so peaceful precisely because of Katri's care. She remembers how Katri gently held her in her arms, surrounding her with love and attention. The heroine recalls how Katri's care and support gave her the strength and courage to not be afraid of the Emperor. She asks Katri not to leave, saying that she wants to continue to be with her. The heroine explains that if it is hard for Katri to be with her, she can leave because the most important thing is that Katri smiles and is happy. Katie, seeing the heroine's sincerity, admits that she doesn't really want to leave her. Katri says that she is afraid of being in a situation where she can't protect the heroine again. The heroine, confident in her abilities, promises that she will get stronger and learn to behave more carefully. She asks Katri to stay with her and work together to become stronger. The heroine believes they can protect each other and be together forever. Katri hugs the heroine and promises to serve her until her last breath. This decision gives Katri confidence and strength. In another moment, the maid decides to become stronger and mentally prepares herself for what lies ahead. She realizes that their path will not be easy, but she is confident that she can cope. The heroine comes to the man and, a little embarrassed, thanks him for freeing Katri and the others. The man listens to her words with interest. The man asks the heroine if she now understands why he doesn't kill her. The heroine replies that she has realized, and somewhat embarrassedly suggests that it is because he cares for her. The man continues to look at her thoughtfully. The man tells the heroine that she is in the way and tells her to leave. The heroine, indignant and a little upset, still decides to ask him for something else. The man, hearing her request, is surprised. The heroine asks the man for permission to learn magic. He replies that it is too early for her and that she is not a magician. The man explains that she has other duties, as she is an heiress and a princess, and magicians have their own jobs. The heroine realizes that she expected a rejection, but she still feels sorry that she wasn't allowed to learn magic. The man, softening a bit, offers another option. He agrees to her request, but with some conditions. The man suggests that the heroine make friends. He explains that friends can tell her many interesting things. Heroine happily agrees, thanking him for his understanding. The man adds that he will prepare a room for her to play and socialize with her friends. The heroine is pleased that her request has been approved, though she is not entirely happy with the way the man has expressed his agreement. She is still grateful to him for allowing her to make friends and learn new things. The heroine is glad that her request has been honored, but feels that things are not at all as she imagined. Her new friends are little girls with whom she plays with dolls and soft toys. The heroine welcomes the girls, and they reciprocate. The heroine thinks that playing with the younger girls is not at all what she expected. She remembers how Faye and Ivan behaved in a more adult way, and realizes that she had been forgetting that. Later, the heroine sits in front of a man and says that she didn't really enjoy playing with her new friends. She explains that she would like to play with Faye and Ivan. The man is surprised by her request and asks her why she likes these two so much. The heroine notices that the expression on the man's face has changed, and it scares her a little. The man flatly refuses to let her play with Fairy and Ivan. The heroine disappointedly thinks it's because of her status as an heiress and realizes that in the original story, that would have been the end of it. She repeats her question, hoping to change his mind, but the man again says, "You can't." The heroine persistently clarifies if it is in fact impossible, and the man once again confirms the refusal. The heroine feels disappointed, as it was easy for her to communicate with Faye and Ivan. She doesn't understand why she is forbidden to spend time with them and feels sad about it. A man asks the heroine if she really wants him to throw her out. The heroine stubbornly decides that if she does, she will do whatever it takes to get her way. She approaches the man and asks him again, using all her strength. The heroine, showing her persistence and determination, pleads with the man, insisting on her wish. He gives in and allows her to play a little with Fairy and Ivan. The maid is surprised that the strict emperor allowed the heroine to be friends with boys. The heroine, happy to be able to meet them, expresses her joy. The heroine recalls how surprised she was when she learned that the emperor had let everyone out at her request. She feels grateful and hopes that she will be able to befriend the boys. The long-awaited day comes when the heroine can meet Fairy and Ivan. The guards stand at the door, waiting for her arrival. The heroine is nervous about meeting the boys, thinking about how they will react. She sees them and is relieved when the emperor says they can play. The man brings Faye and Ivan to the heroine as she requested. He allows them to play together, which makes the heroine feel happy and relieved. She rejoices that her wish has come true, and now she can spend time with her friends. A man says that his daughter wants to play with the boys and orders them to start playing. The heroines look at the man with bewilderment and concern, not understanding how they can play in such an environment. The heroine blames herself for the situation. The heroine asks the man to do his work, but he, watching them with interest, says he is curious about how they will play. The heroes feel uncomfortable under his gaze. The man says he can't leave because this is his home. The heroine boldly replies that his presence frightens Faye and Ivan. The man suspects that the heroes are about to play something he is not allowed to see. The heroine assures him that his sight frightens the boys, not their games. The maid, apologizing for interfering, asks the man to let the children play quietly. The heroine sees this as a chance. She reminds the man of his business and asks him to go attend to it. The man leaves, instructing the maid to watch the children. The heroine rejoices. The heroine apologizes for scaring the heroine and says that her father is in a bad mood today. The heroine is relieved that it is over. The maid pours tea and wonders how the princess tried to play them with her. The heroines agree that it was unexpected, and they find it easy to relate to the heroine. They say they would like to teach her everything they know. The heroine notices that the boys were smarter than their years and didn't mesh with their peers. They continue the conversation and discuss that they have younger siblings, but they are different from other children. The heroine is curious about mages and knights, and the hero explains that he can tell her about mages but not about knights, since he is not a member of the Order of Knights. The heroine is surprised, and the hero replies that all the men in his family are in the Order of Knights. The hero tells her that wizards deal with monster problems, protect the castle, and travel the empire. The heroine continues to question, wondering about their duties. The hero explains that knights deal with human problems, catch criminals, and guard the borders. The heroine wonders if the knights have magic. The heroine says that she has heard that mages used to have magic, but most of them don't. The heroine also mentions that her father was one of those who did possess magic, but he was locked away in a special spell. She thinks that mages can fight knights, but the hero thinks that wizards are stronger. The hero declares that he will become a knight and prove it, though the other hero doubts his words. The heroes and the heroine continue to discuss who is stronger, wizards or knights, and propose to have a competition. The heroine supports the idea and smiles. The heroes explain that the princess would like to learn about knights and mages to better understand their abilities. They plan to continue this conversation another time. The heroine enjoys their company and thanks them for their explanation. She suggests that they read books about knights and mages later. The heroes agree with the heroine's suggestion and decide to spend more time together to learn more about each other and their abilities. They go to the garden and decide to spend time there. The heroine notices that they have 2 guards with them today, so they will not be afraid of danger. The heroes and heroine discuss plans for the day and decide to go to the garden. The heroine enjoys the company and talking with them. They discuss how nice it is to be together and share knowledge. The heroine admits that she enjoys spending time with both heroes. The heroine notices something suspicious and the guards react to it. One of the guards prepares to protect the heroine and her friends. The heroes find themselves in a dark place, looking around fearfully. A mysterious hooded man appears in front of them, thirsting for their blood. The heroine thinks he wants her blood. The man approaches threateningly, saying they are in his way. At this point, the guards rush forward, protecting the heroes and trying to stop the man. The heroes see the black flower and begin to panic, not realizing what is happening. One of the heroes asks if the heroine is okay. The heroine and her friends begin to realize that they have been transported to an old temple. One of the heroes notices that they have been teleported by a crude formula, which makes him feel nauseous. The heroes decide to pack up and prepare for the coming danger, as the man is already approaching. The heroine thinks about sticking together. The man comes closer and closer, calling the heroine the daughter of the Ice Emperor, and smiles ominously. The heroine and her friends prepare to confront him. The hooded man continued his threats, saying he was the son of the first emperor. He reminded the heroes that they must give their blood. The heroine and her friends tried to protect each other, but they were overwhelmed by the darkness. One of the heroes used his powers to break the dark chains binding them. He told the others to flee while he himself held off the enemy. The heroine worried for her friend, not knowing what to do next. The heroes realized that they were in great danger. The hooded man launched an attack, and the heroine felt terrified and helpless. She desperately called out for her father's help. The heroine remembered how her father had helped her earlier. She decided to try to ask for help again despite her fear. The hooded man approached, threatening them more and more. The heroine's father forbade her to leave the castle. The heroine cheerfully admitted that she was happy to see him. She called him a wizard and a knight, and then another hero appeared, holding one of his friends in his arms. The heroine's father realized that her friends were from Lazarian's setup. The hooded man scoffed, saying that a lot of wizards and knights wouldn't be able to do anything. The heroine's father ordered everyone to stop and protect her. Another hero stepped in, trying to help. The heroine's father asked him not to interfere, saying he could handle it himself. He used his powers to protect the heroine and ordered everyone else to stand down. The hooded man continued to threaten, saying he would carry out his plan. The heroine's father replied that he was not afraid of him and used magic to disarm the enemy. The heroine watched the battle, feeling helpless. The heroine's father confidently said that he would deal with the enemy and protect her at all costs. The heroine's father ordered his subordinates to arrest the hooded man and strip him of all his rights. They immediately carried out his order. The heroine, relieved that it was over, ran to her father, hugging him with relief and saying that she was scared. Her father asked her not to cry, and she felt the warmth of his arms. One of the heroine's friends said they all fought together to protect her. Other friends stood by her side, confirming that they too had made an effort to help. The heroine realized that everyone was really trying for her, and that gave her confidence. She decided that in the future she too could use her magical powers to protect others. The woman approached the heroine, happy that she was okay, and thanked her father. The heroine turned to her father, asking what the hooded man meant by her blood. Her father explained that her blood was indeed special, as she was from a royal family. He added that people knew that before, but it was especially important now because of the events that had happened. The heroine remembered being told in the past that her blood could protect her from monsters, which made her feel useful and important. The woman crouched down next to the heroine and said that she had not seen such a monster, and the heroine remarked that it could be the result of the emperor's manipulation. She realized that the emperor could create monsters using humans, and it made her uneasy. She reflected on the kindness this man had once shown. Her father looked at the man imprisoned in chains while in the dungeon, wondering what to do to someone who wanted to harm his daughter. The heroine's father pondered what to do with the villain who wanted to harm his daughter. He realized that this man had kidnapped the princess with the help of the black flower, but his soul had already been consumed by the monster. The prisoner bound in chains grinned evilly as he saw the heroine's father in front of him. The father said that this man was captured because of his crimes and asked who exactly made him do it. The prisoner remained stubbornly silent. The heroine's father ordered the guards to stand back, assuming that the kidnapper had used some sort of trick to get into the castle, but realized that it was clearly not his idea. He insisted that the man answer who had directed him. The prisoner chuckled, naming his master. Father realized it was the name of the most powerful mage. He remembered what he knew about the magical power of this enemy and realized that sooner or later he would attack them. He ordered King Lysander to be summoned to discuss the way forward. The heroine's father asked King Lysander if he was surprised by the sudden invitation. The king replied that it did not embarrass him and apologized for the surprise. The heroine's father realized that King Lysander was much older and had ruled longer, but he looked imposing. He reminded him that the kingdom of Lysander was an independent state. King Lysander asked why he had been summoned. The heroine's father explained that the right man had infiltrated the castle and was involved in the attack on his daughter. He noticed that a mage from Lysander had tried to harm his daughter, which could be seen as a declaration of war. King Lysander expressed his displeasure and emphasized that their country was already suffering from monsters. He demanded proof of these accusations. The heroine's father explained that magical power had been causing calamities in their country for a long time. He concluded that someone from Lysander had used powerful magic. King Lysander, deep in thought, agreed that someone of his mages was involved. He questioned how the heroine's father knew about it. The heroine's father calmly replied that their countries had always had close ties. The guards informed him that it was time for torture. The heroine had to start, as the city was under siege and Lysander wasn't helping. The guards learned something interesting. The chronicles record that the god of war and King Lysander are friends. The heroine's father thought that whoever attacked the castle was familiar with the king. The guards decided that they too needed to become stronger. One of them asked the other about his son. The one replied that his son wanted to become a knight and offered to bring him to the castle for training. The woman reminded the heroine that it was her bedtime. The heroine agreed and said good night. 2 weeks had passed since Anya and Lee returned to the castle. The castle had become peaceful. The heroine lay in bed and wondered what her friends were doing now. She thought that both of them, being the sons of aristocrats, must be busy doing things, but what if they were upset? She assumed Obai must be at the maid school and wondered if she could meet him. The heroine walked over to the window and thought about how she wanted to meet her friends, even if it was the second time in a bright day. She wondered how she could meet them. The hero noticed the heroine and asked what she was doing. She flinched and turned to him. He repeated the question, and the heroine explained that she was just thinking about her friends. He asked why she was fresh and alert again, and said she shouldn't get up so often. The heroine said that she didn't mean to run away, but was just thinking about how Obai and Ivan were doing. She noticed that they looked upset. The hero asked what they had said to her, and the heroine said nothing. The hero picked the heroine up in his arms and told her that she should go to sleep. She cried out in surprise, but he insisted. He wished her good night and told her she would meet her friends tomorrow. The hero told the heroine to sleep, saying that she would meet her friends tomorrow. He added that otherwise she would run out of the room again in the night. The heroine thanked him, and he stroked her head affectionately. The heroine lay in bed and tried to sleep, but she found it difficult. She kept thinking about her friends and hoped to meet them. The next day, the hero brought the heroine to the knight's training place. The heroine asked where they were, and the hero explained that it was a training place for knights. She noticed that her friends were training here and was surprised. The man said that Ivan is training, but has not become a knight yet. He is training under Kevin's supervision. Hero approached the man and heroine and said they were here to see the training. The man expressed surprise that they were here without guards. The heroine greeted Ivan cheerfully and said she hadn't seen him in a while. She apologized for making him wait to meet her. Ivan said it was no big deal. He explained that he was training to protect her and Obai in case of danger. The heroine said she had a secret. Ivan listened with interest as she shared her plan. The heroine wanted to know if he would become a knight. A man intervened and said that the heroine should be more careful. Ivan tried to justify himself by saying that he wanted to protect her. The man told the hero that Ivan had asked for training just as Kevin had. The hero reminded Ivan that he wanted to keep practicing. The hero also told Ivan to come to the heroine's house sometimes, and the hero agreed. The heroine suggested that they play together again. The hero led her to another place, and she asked what that place was. The hero explained that it was a wizard's laboratory. He approached the heroine and told her what she should have said if she wanted to see him. He apologized for refusing to see her and explained that he had decided to study magic harder to become the best wizard in the empire. The heroine said she wanted to protect the country and them. Obai noticed that she was trying. The man approached him and said he thought he could surpass him and become the best wizard in the empire. The man asked Obai to make time for the heroine at least once a week. Obai promised not to refuse any more meetings. The heroine offered to continue being friends. Obai thanked her. The heroine thought Ivan and Obai were very cool. She also thanked her father for the opportunity to meet them. She told him that she thanked Ivan and Obai and asked them to play with her again. The heroine admitted that her father sometimes seems scary, unemotional, and cold, but he still loves her. He asked if she thought he was awkward. She replied that she did, but with a smile. The heroine's father assured her that he wasn't against her desire to become a mage. He remarked that sometimes it didn't seem like it. The heroine thanked him and again expressed her desire to meet Ivan and Obai. The heroine reflected that her father seems formidable but is actually kind. Her father motioned for her to go ahead and held her hand. The heroine remembered that she didn't find she was thanked enough. She suggested going to the movies. Then she thought she wanted to erase all the bad memories. She woke up in the morning and greeted the woman. The woman asked if she was awake already. The heroine confirmed and added that she thought she should get up early. The woman suggested that the heroine go out to breakfast. She agreed to do so. The heroine then asked how she was living. The woman laughed and said how the bar was. The heroine laughed back. The heroine remembered that today was her birthday. She thanked the woman for congratulating her. The woman wished her a healthy growth and success in her studies. The heroine reflected on the fact that in her past life she was a famous person. She knew that the emperor had always been on her side and protected her, so she thought that her life was now connected to the emperor and his entourage. At the event, the heroine received birthday greetings. She was thanked for growing up to be such a beautiful girl. The hero told her that the dress suited her. She thanked him and praised his clothes. The heroine continued to accept congratulations and enjoy the celebration. The heroine thanked her friends. One of them, Ivan, wished her a happy birthday and she recognized him. Another friend, Faye, also congratulated her and recognized that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. The heroine noted that her friends had become popular and were now admired by others. Her friends Ivan and Faye had received their titles and had become famous, Ivan as the youngest knight and Faye as a brilliant wizard. The heroine's father said he needed to go away for a while and asked Faye and Ivan to take care of her. They agreed and promised to watch over her in his absence. The heroine thanked them and was glad of their company. The heroine noticed that Ivan and Faye were always arguing with each other and asked them not to quarrel. She was glad that her friends were always there for her and ready to support her. They all continued celebrating together, having fun and socializing with each other. The heroine felt happy surrounded by her friends and family. The heroine said she was ecstatic. She then greeted Lady Marian. Lady Marian said hello to Ivan and Faye, wishing them a good day, and approached the heroine, asking permission to be friends. The heroine thanked Marian and noted that she was honored. Marian, however, wondered if having two boys around the heroine would lead to rumors of her frivolity. She began to worry that it might damage the heroine's reputation. The heroine felt embarrassed and looked back at her friends, Ivan and Faye, who were standing next to her. Marian said doubtfully that the heroine was too promiscuous if she was surrounded by boys all the time. The heroine was surprised and didn't understand why Marian thought that. Ivan and Faye looked puzzled. Marian wondered if there was something wrong with the heroine and expressed her concerns. She was sure that rumors about it would spread quickly. The heroine tried to explain that she had been friends with Ivan and Faye since childhood and they had a good relationship. Marian, still hesitant, remarked that if the heroine was spending so much time with boys, it might look vicious. The heroine tried to assure her that it wasn't, but Marian stuck to her opinion. Marian continued to say that the heroine was as unafraid as anyone to be so intimate with boys. Faye intervened, telling Marian to watch what she said. Marian aghast at his rudeness. Ivan supported Faye, adding to be nicer to the lady. Faye calmly replied that he was already kind enough. Ivan countered that Marian had been rude to the heroine and that Faye seemed to stand up for her. The woman tells the man that Mr. Ivan is interested in her. She explains that she wanted to warn him of the impending danger. The man looks unsure and embarrassed. The woman in the white dress realizes that she likes him. They continue to talk. The woman in the white dress notices that the woman and the man are staying close to each other, which causes her doubt and concern. She thinks about what could happen and imagines the woman instantly freezing. The woman turns to a man named Ivan, questioning why he would not stay with another woman, Marina. The man and woman stand side by side, and another man looks at them. The woman is surprised at what is happening. She laughs, trying to calm everyone down, saying that she is fine. She asks the man not to worry. The man walks away with Marina, leaving the rest of the heroines to watch them. The heroine wonders who the girl is. The heroine replies that it would be better if His Majesty knew. She imagines the emperor freezing the child at a feast in honor of his daughter, and remarks that it would make a great impression on him. The man notices that the heroine has even thought about it and expresses admiration for her adult thoughts. She laughs, a little embarrassed. The heroine observes Marina, who seems calm and not worried about what is happening. A man invites the heroine to dance, but she hesitantly says that she is not a good dancer. He assures her that she needs to rely on him. The hero summons the spirit of the wind, and they begin to dance, surrounded by a magical aura. The hero uses wind magic to help the heroine dance. She is surprised and delighted to feel the wind picking her up. The man explains that with wind magic, many things are possible. The heroine looks at him with delight. They continue to dance and others watch them, marveling. One of the spectators notices that the heroine and the hero are a perfect match. At this time, Ivan is dancing with Marina, and someone calls his name. The heroine, hearing the voice, realizes that last year she was near the man. She wonders if this is possibly because of Marina. The heroine apologizes to the hero, explaining that she would like to apologize for her rudeness. The man, smiling, says that it was no big deal and asks if anything happened. Marion, smiling happily, introduces herself and says that they have just met. The heroine is perplexed, knowing that Marion has met them before. The woman holds out a gift to the heroine, explaining that she would like to present it immediately. The heroine thanks and takes the box. The woman says that she has written a letter, but is embarrassed if anyone sees it, so she asks the heroine to read it in private. After saying goodbye, the woman leaves. The hero asks the heroine if something happened at the feast. The heroine replies that everything is fine and apologizes for wanting to go to her room. The man realizes that the situation was tense, but senses that the woman is clearly up to something. The heroine goes to her room with the gift in hand, pondering the woman's strange behavior. The woman, however, when left alone, smirks, harboring something unkind. The maid tells the heroine that it is late and offers to give her a bath in the morning. The heroine agrees. She decides to open the present at once, despite her tiredness. The heroine unties the ribbon on the box and begins to open it. Inside she finds a letter and reads it curiously. Suddenly, a moth flies out of the box, which frightens the heroine and the maid. The heroine and the other men notice that something has happened. The heroine, who grabs the moth, explains that a bug flew out of the box, but then apologizes, saying that it was just a moth and she was scared. The man helps catch the moth and asks if everything is okay now. The heroine thanks him, assuring him that everything is fine. The maid expresses surprise that Marina did not immediately freeze. The heroine ponders why she did not tell His Majesty, realizing that if he had found out, Marina might have frozen. The maid suggests that it was a childish joke, and the heroine agrees, deciding not to make a fuss about it. The maid agrees not to tell anyone what happened and leaves. The heroine, lying in bed, reflects on the fact that Marina is still a child and does not realize the consequences of her actions. She thinks that if there had been more insects in the box, she would have been even more frightened. The next morning, the heroine talks to her mentor, who assumes that the heroine is tired after last night's ball. The mentor offers to cancel classes for the day so that the heroine can rest. The heroine thanks the tutor and agrees to meet tomorrow. The maid hands her a letter from Lady Marina, arousing the heroine's curiosity. The heroine opens the letter and reads it. In the letter, Marina apologizes for what happened and promises to be more careful in the future. The heroine is surprised that Marina responded so quickly and looks at the letter thoughtfully. From this point on, letters from Marina begin to arrive frequently, each filled with apologies and promises to behave better. The heroine notices that Marina is really trying to improve herself. The heroine thinks that the moth really could have just been a joke. She hopes that she can become friends with Marina. She notices that there is an inscription on the box. Opening it, the heroine sees a letter. In it, Marina apologizes and promises not to repeat her mistakes. The heroine leaves the room and meets a maid who helps her with her daily chores. Suddenly, the heroine notices that her hand is cut. She realizes that she can't take it anymore and decides to deal with the situation. The heroine tells the man about her suspicions and the fact that Marina keeps sending her gifts and letters. The man wonders if Marina has really changed. The heroine receives another letter that causes her anxiety. She decides that she needs to do something about it. The next day, the heroine meets Marina. They greet each other and Marina apologizes for her behavior. The heroine thanks Marina for the gift and says that she has been waiting for this meeting. The heroine thinks Marina is so happy to see them. She hopes that they can mend their relationship and become friends. However, tension builds up inside the heroine, and she realizes that Marina may still harbor something evil. Marion was rude to the heroine on her birthday and sent outrageous gifts. Today, she's invited her to a tea party. The heroine and her guards are walking through the garden. She admires the beautiful garden. The heroine says she is not the only one invited. The woman is surprised to see another person invited. The heroines have gathered for a tea party. The invitation to the tea party has been passed around. The man says, "Mr. Ivan." The heroine hopes to have a pleasant time with Marion. She is excited and hopes for a good time. The heroine thinks that if the woman throws something out, she will be told off in front of Ivan. The woman picks out a blue tea especially for her. The heroine does not know the name of this type of tea. The woman notices that this tea is famous and the heroine didn't know it. A lecture about the tea begins. It is Tears of Moon Night, the tea leaves of which are extracted from the Mathura region. The woman is surprised at how much she knows about tea. The heroine thinks that the daughter of an aristocrat should know it. The woman admits that she doesn't know. The man notices that the tea is a little sweet. If she likes a stronger flavor, she is advised to try a different kind of tea. The tea is made from the leaves of the Galera region and has a slightly bitter specific flavor that adult men like. The heroine confirms that the tea is indeed sweet. She says that if she had known they were coming, she would have brought them this tea. The heroine wanted to surprise the woman and thought she would be pleased. The woman replies that she hates surprises. One of the heroines notices that the other speaks as if she were a princess, but then offers to discuss a topic more understandable to her. The heroine asks if they know the novel The Rose of Night Dew, which is popular among aristocrats. The woman replies that she doesn't know about it. The heroine then suggests they discuss Gough's fashionable painting. The woman apologizes and says she only knows Van Gogh. The heroine is surprised that they are not aware of anything. The man excuses himself that he already has a lot of studying to do and doesn't have time. The heroine says they can finish in no time and do something else. The heroine thinks she's had enough and is about to speak up. The man reminds her that Lady Dea is an heiress and she studies hard. He adds that she is much busier than the average noble lady. The heroes point out that the princess reads books more complicated than novels. In addition, she knows foreign languages, which is amazing. The heroine is amazed by Lady Dea's knowledge, but still finds the situation funny. The man continues his conversation with the woman, and the other heroine turns to everyone and says, "Guys." The heroine is thankful that Faye and Ivan stood up for her, as she didn't even have time to open her mouth. The heroine tenses up and says, "Heiress." The woman smiles and asks if we can talk in private. She gets up and walks away. One of the heroes calls out to the woman, but she resolutely moves on. He tells Lady Dea to wait here. The heroine thinks she is lucky to be protected by her favorites. The woman says she was called specifically to show how close they are. It's a nasty thing to do. The heroine realizes that the woman has decided to complain directly. The woman asks not to talk like that. The woman accuses the heroine of trying to win over Mr. Ivan by taking advantage of her position. She is sure that if it weren't for the inheritance, Ivan wouldn't have responded to her invitation. The heroine asks her to stop. The heroine asks if she loves Ivan. The woman can't hide her reaction. The heroine continues that it is because of jealousy. The woman starts to cry. The heroine says that Ivan will not love someone like her. Ivan is an honest man and he doesn't like girls who do mean things. The woman is shocked by what she hears. The heroine says that Ivan is kind and that's why he doesn't scold her, but he sees everything. The heroine clenches her fists in anger and suddenly pushes the other girl. The other characters hear the commotion and wonder what's going on. They notice that the princess has fallen into the fountain. One of the characters asks if the girl is okay. She replies that she is, but another character notices that her dress is all wet. Her father appears in uniform and asks what they are doing at the fountain. They were standing in a circle, and the woman said she heard they were having a tea party today. He asked what they were doing at the fountain. The girl tried to explain that the heiress had fallen in there herself. He wanted to know if that was true. The girl nervously tried to think of how to answer, realizing that if she told the truth, the woman could be punished. The woman cried and claimed she hadn't done anything, accusing the girl of lying and setting her up. The girl thought she was worried about the woman being punished and she was blaming her. The woman approached the man, trying to get his support, claiming she was not the type to do mischief. The man was confused. He tried to make sense of the situation, while the girl continued to watch what was happening. The man was furious and said that the girl jumped into the fountain to set up another. He warned not to be dared. He stated that his daughter would not have acted so petty and rather the woman was trying to set her up. The man commanded the woman to be silent as he prepared for her punishment. He reminded her that one must pay for insulting an heiress with one's life. The girl was frightened and screamed for him not to kill the woman. The man continued to prepare for his punishment, and the girl screamed again for him to stop. The woman was under the eternal ice, and the hero was surprised that she was frozen. The girl tried to explain that the woman shouldn't be punished so cruelly. She said she was against murder. The man was puzzled and asked what the atmosphere was. He asked where the girl had learned this magic. He was surprised and puzzled as to where she got such powers. The girl looked at him bewildered, not understanding what was going on. The hero said it wasn't him. The woman was surprised and asked if it was true. She wondered how it happened and if she could do it again. She was told not to use magic. She was perplexed as to why she should be so angry. The man said he would return with her to her room. He told the others to sort the place out on their own. The woman tried to call out to him, but he didn't respond. She was upset and thought that at least he would explain what was going on. Later, the woman was in her room. She was helped by the servants, but she felt strange. She went to the man in his study. He was sitting at his desk, immersed in his work. She thought he never paid attention to her, even when she was around. She had noticed that he only acted like that with criminals. He asked what she didn't like. The woman replied that the food was very good. She said that the food was very good. The man noted this and asked her if she could talk to him now. She asked him to forgive Marion because she was still a child and would understand. The man remarked that it was not in his nature to forgive, even though he was her father. The woman thanked him and felt relieved. The man inquired why she was still sleeping with Inoya. The woman was surprised that she hadn't told him about it. He said that they would be doing everything together now. The woman wondered and clarified if that would include sleeping. The man replied in the affirmative. She spoke to Claire, who said she would have to share a bedroom with her father. The woman agreed, but was concerned. She was lying in bed next to her father. He noticed she couldn't sleep and told her to relax. The man clarified if she wanted him to do something for her. The woman was excited and thought it was a test. She could not sleep and thought that her father's punishment was really terrible. The man noticed her anxiety and suggested that she sleep next to him so that she would feel calmer. The woman admitted to herself that her father was actually caring. The man told her that she could lie closer. She hesitated, but he convinced her that it would be better. The man said that her worrying would get her nowhere and she could relax. The woman lay down next to him and tried to sleep. She felt his warmth and care. The man put his arms around her to make her feel safe. She thought it would be easier for her to fall asleep now. He clarified that she would be more comfortable and warmer this way. The woman noticed that they would now be sleeping together and felt relieved. She couldn't believe that her father really cared about her. The man suggested that she relax and go to sleep. The woman felt her worries begin to fade, and she gradually fell asleep next to her father. She watched him sleep peacefully and thought that he probably wasn't having such a hard time. She noticed that he had a handsome face and thought that she had not met such attractive people in her past life. She pondered that his character wasn't so perfect. Suddenly he woke up and asked her what was wrong. She was startled as she thought he had noticed that she was looking at him. She realized that his gaze was directed somewhere to the side. The woman saw the monster and realized that he was right behind her. She wondered how the monster ended up in the castle. He used magic and destroyed the monster, explaining to her that the monster had gotten through the barrier. The man noticed that she could see such creatures. He warned her that she shouldn't use magic anymore. The man explained that magic power was like an attachment for them. He told her that they came after her because of her use of magic. The man calmed her down and told her to go to sleep. She thought she could sleep peacefully now that he was near. She thought that her father could easily handle the monsters since he was around. A dark image appeared in her memories, warning her of the dangers to come. She hoped her father would be able to protect her. The man told her not to worry and to go to sleep. He assured her that he was there for her and would protect her. The girl felt safe and thanked her father. At night, a fairy came to her, informing her that the girl was destined to be a keeper. The fairy explained that they needed to prepare for the important role. The fairy noticed that the girl didn't quite understand her importance. The man said that he could protect her from anything. Fairy reminded him that it was her destiny and that her power could save them all. The fairy explained to the man that a strong force would now follow them. She asked him to protect the girl while she slept. The man agreed and stood guard while the girl slept peacefully. He reflected that he wished the girl would remain strong despite the hardships and that he would be able to protect herself. In that moment, he promised to protect her even if it wasn't easy. In the morning, the girl woke up and saw her father still around. He asked her how she slept. She replied that she slept well and thanked him for his concern. The girl reflected on how often her father didn't talk about his thoughts and feelings, and she wished she knew more about his true emotions. She felt that she truly admired him and was grateful for his support. She wondered if she had enjoyed the dream in which her father was protecting her. Suddenly, her father hugged her tightly, and she was surprised but felt safe. He called Lyle's name, which shocked the girl. When the girl's father hugged her, she exclaimed that she was actually Dea. He asked her what she meant. The girl explained that he had confused her with her mother. The father asked in surprise what he meant. She reminded him that he had hugged her and called her Leela. The father, looking away embarrassed, denied calling her that. The girl persisted that she had definitely heard it. Then she suggested that they go and make breakfast. The father, changing the subject, agreed. It was the first time the girl had seen her father like this and wondered if he didn't want to talk to her about her mother. After breakfast, they went to the study. The father said that it would be faster than lugging documents back and forth. The girl, a little embarrassed, agreed. She thought that today she would spend the whole day with her father. The servant, watching the girl, thought she was having a hard time. At that moment, a woman came up to the girl and informed her that Princess Dea had received a letter from Lady Marian. The girl's father asked who the letter was from, and she replied that it was from Marian. He took the letter from the girl and checked it. He then gave it back to the girl and said that there was nothing special about the letter, just an apology without much meaning. The girl agreed and thought that Marian had changed her mind and made amends. At night, the girl stayed up to sleep in her father's room. She couldn't sleep, the bed was uncomfortable, and the room seemed a mess. The father said he didn't smooth things out since he only slept here. The girl thought that her father was always busy working and wished him good night. The girl reflected that her father had a lot of things to do. She spent whole days in his office, getting used to such a life, although she was mentally tired. She wanted to go back to her room. She realized that while working, it is necessary to behave quietly. The girl thought about the fact that with her father she was somehow uncomfortable, and she was already tired. She wanted to be without him and get away from him. Her father said he had to meet with the ambassador from Lucerne and the girl could go back to her room. She was surprised that this was allowed, and he confirmed that she was only not allowed to go anywhere. The girl was happy to be free and thought how nice it would be to be without her father. She met Ivan and offered to play. Ivan agreed, and the girl thought that she had not left the room for a long time, and now it seemed as if it did not belong to her. Then Faye appeared and said that His Majesty had asked him to stay with the girl and protect her. The girl was surprised that her father did what she wanted. Faye remarked that she was tired, and the girl admitted that she was indeed tired because she had been with her father since the day of the tea party. She adds that because of her, monsters have been appearing more frequently at sea. He explains that he is there to protect her. The girl has gotten a little used to this life and has even started to think about tomorrow. She admits that it's not easy to always be with His Majesty and thinks that Faye could take better care of her. Faye declares that he could take better care of her. She notices that Faye is acting differently than usual and asks him what's wrong. Faye tries to assure her that everything is fine and asks if she has seen Ivan. The girl says she hasn't seen Ivan since the tea party and asks what happened after that. Faye suddenly asks if she loves Ivan, and the girl asks him not to talk about him because it brings back unpleasant memories for her. Faye starts acting strange and snuggles closer to her. The girl is surprised by his strange behavior, noting that he somehow gets too close and says words he hasn't said before. She begins to suspect who he really is. She asks why he calls her princess, since he's always called her Lady Dea. Her question clearly catches him off guard, and she realizes it's some kind of game. He admits that he is not a fairy and seems to have good pretend skills. The girl gets scared and runs away, wondering who it really is. The girl realizes that this guy is not at all who she thought he was and decides to seek help. She calls out to Ivan, Kate, and her dad, but no one is around. She finally stumbles upon Ivan, but she senses the same evil aura from him as the strange guy. Ivan asks what's wrong, and the girl notices that he looks like he's seen a monster. She runs away and keeps looking for someone to help her. Emperor Sil meets with a messenger from Lezerin, who reports that the seal guy has disappeared and they don't know where he is. The emperor ordered to bring Dea to the room with the barrier and make sure to bring him here. When they brought Dea, Kate stayed with her, but when she returned, the girl was gone. The emperor learned that the guards had left Dea alone in the room, and he ordered them to find out where she was. Liburg went with him to help in the search. Dea's aura was in front of the room, and the emperor realized that Dea was in a different spatial realm. He tried to use magical power to find her, but something was preventing him. The emperor saw Dea in a strange place, surrounded by magic. He felt that someone was interfering and said that nothing was happening. His magical power was suppressed, and he realized he couldn't find Dea with his powers. Faye screams for help, asking where Dea is. Liburg tells him to calm down. He decides to go with them to help. Liburg informs Faye that there is nothing he can do in this state. Ivan arrives with news. Monster troops have reappeared on the border. On Captain Rolf's orders, he set out with the 4th and 6th squads to let everyone invade, but chaos has broken out in the castle. Liburg decides to urgently help on the frontier and orders Faye to go with him. Faye asks to wait and says that Lady Dea is more important than the monsters. Ivan asks what happened to the princess. Faye replies that she is missing. Perhaps she was kidnapped by an evil god. Ivan decides to go on a search for her. Liburg says it's not necessary. The emperor tells everyone to go to the towers on the border. He orders the wizards to evacuate the castle. He will find Dea himself, though he knows the god will try to stop him. He tells Kate that she must be in a safe place and orders her to be protected. He decides to move the men out of the castle and do the search himself. Dea, left alone, remembers the blessing of the good god. She decides to find the heiress. All the doors lead outside and no one is in the rooms. She yells out, asking if she can start catching the heiress. She realizes she has to do something while the enemy laughs at them. The girl asks for Marion. She then sees another character to see if it is Marion. She is perplexed as to why she is being ignored, and thinks that this persona has suddenly taken on a different role. The girl remembers that they have lost sight of everyone around them because of them, and immediately confronts this purple-haired girl. The girl tries to explain something but gets yelled at. The girl declares that they need to run away from here immediately, as a certain man appears who is emitting dark energy. She pulls her along with him and they start to run away. On the way, they encounter a magical strike, which they manage to dodge. The red-clothed girl urges her companion to get up and run faster, while the man creating the magical dark energy warns that the next blow will be stronger. The girl is shocked at what's happening and asks what she's in for. The man notices the interesting object in the girl's possession and wonders why she is carrying around a magical tool. She replies that she thought all ladies carried such things with them for self-defense. The girl reminds him that she is the emperor's daughter and adds that it was not necessary. After the man attacks, the girl tries to deal with the pain, but the heroine remains resolute and continues to defend her. The heroine asks if Marion is her companion. The woman responds by asking why she is being protected, reminding her that she has always done nasty things. The heroine admits that her companion tried to hurt her, but adds that she wouldn't want to be made a target just because of jealousy. She says she can't bear to see her suffer and apologizes for everything. The companion thanks her for apologizing and offers to forget the grudges. The companion offers to go look for someone, now that the offenses are forgotten. The heroine thinks that all the people could not have suddenly disappeared from the castle and concludes that they have fallen into another space. The companion says that her father will understand if she uses magic, but fears that he's not the only one who will notice. The heroine agrees that the monster will find them sooner or later anyway, and offers to warn His Majesty as soon as possible. The companion admits that she doesn't know how to do it, but feels that she should be able to do it. She closes her eyes and asks the spirit for help. The heroine asks the spirit for strength and mentally turns to her father. She feels a magical energy connecting her to another reality. The man watching realizes that the magical power has been transferred to the girl. He ponders that she was able to create a door to another dimension. However, the man who created the dark energy notices this and is not happy. He tries to stop the heroine, but the man with the magical power says he knows what to do without him. He confirms that this is exactly what he wanted and creates a powerful magical barrier. The heroine realizes that she can't stay here and must hurry. She wonders if her father sensed the magical energy. She ponders if she succeeded and doesn't realize what happened. A man with dark energy appears in front of them and asks if the heroine really tried to escape. He warns her that he's about to spring into action. The man with magical power says that their plan has failed and the monster will attack soon. The heroine and her companion realize they are in danger and must do something about it. The heroine decides to use her magical power to protect everyone. She concentrates and tries to create a protective barrier. The man with dark energy continues to threaten, but the heroine doesn't give up and continues to fight. At the last moment, a man with magical power, her father, manages to come to the aid of the heroine and her companion. They embrace, realizing that together they can overcome any obstacle. The heroine asks the man if he's okay. The man replies that it's nothing, just a scratch. He tells the heroine not to look that way because it's nothing compared to the pain of losing her. The man adds that he wants to remember her smile and asks her not to cry. The evil god appears and says with a smirk that the man interfered anyway. The man asks the evil god what he wants with his daughter. The evil god, with a chuckle, notices the man interfering again and says he wants his food. The evil god explains that he is a top-level monster, but his power is closer to a god than a monster. He adds that he once destroyed an entire kingdom in one night, and now he wants to be satiated again. The man replies that his daughter will not become food and calls upon the spirit to protect them. The Ice Spirit King appears and says he will help the heroine with his power. The heroines are under a protective barrier created by the Spirit King. The heroine asks who he is, to which the Spirit King replies that he is the Ice Spirit King and is helping her because of her power. The heroine is amazed that she is talking to spirits and asks her companion if she sees anyone. She replies that she does not see anyone. The Spirit King explains that spirits only appear to those who are attached to them, and not everyone can hear them. The heroine says that the spirit is lucky since it can see her. She realizes that only she and her father can see him. Her companion adds that everything is clear now. The Spirit King tells her not to think about them, and to help the heroine's father because he is injured. The spirit replies that he is already helping, but he can't move away because he is supporting the barrier. He explains that the barrier will break without it, and asks the heroine to just accept the protection. The heroine remarks that she has never seen such a harsh battle. It becomes clear to her how long her father has been saving up his strength. The spirit says that the evil god can only be defeated by fighting hard. The spirit reads the heroine's mind and tells her that even so, her father cannot defeat the enemy. 3 more equally strong fighters are needed to win. The heroine is shocked as she realizes that her father has no chance. However, the spirit reassures her that this refers to the perfect form of the evil god. He has been sealed away and is severely weakened. The spirit believes that even one person can take the evil god to the grave in its current state. The heroine realizes that her father fights knowing he could die. The spirit promises to protect her even if her father dies. The heroine is left terrified at the thought of her father dying and her being alone. The heroine tries to prevent her death and the end of the world. She realizes that the plot has changed a lot, but still the world, and she will remain and her father will die. She asks herself if this is a happy ending and says she doesn't want it to be. The heroine dreams of a world where everyone is happy. She cries out to her father not to give up. The man who fights her father is surprised. He expresses annoyance, but notices that he can't fully utilize his power. The man apologizes for not being able to save them faster, but he doesn't give up. He prepares for the final attack and warns that in 7 years, the evil god will return and consume his daughter. The man tells everyone to prepare and wait for that moment. The heroine screams, calling for her father. She runs up to him, trying to wake him up, and realizes that he has exhausted his power. 5 days have passed since then, but he still hasn't woken up. She sits by his bedside and says good morning to him. The heroine holds her father's hand and says she will speak to the head wizard, Lyburn. She leaves the room and tells the others that her father isn't awake yet. They comfort her, telling her that everything will be fine. She notices that the castle has already been fixed and marvels at how quickly it was done. She recalls how 2 powerful forces broke the spatial boundaries, and because of that, the effects of the battle spread even to the central hall of the castle. If her father hadn't evacuated everyone, many wouldn't have survived. Magic helped restore everything as if nothing had happened. She talks to the head wizard, who confirms that the rebuilding of the castle will soon be complete. The heroine wonders if he has heard anything about Marion and if she is okay. The wizard replies that Marion had a fever, but it has passed and she is now completely healthy. He adds that Marion was worried about the heroine. The heroine smiles and asks him to tell Marion that she is doing well. The head wizard promises to pass on the message and smiles at the heroine. She looks forward to telling her father that everyone is saved because of him. The heroine asks the wizard what it means that the evil god will return in 7 years. The wizard explains that it's a warning and that it's not a good idea to tell anyone so as not to cause panic. He adds that it is important to be prepared for this time. The heroine agrees and thanks the wizard for his help. She walks down the hallway and meets two boys. They greet her and ask how her father is. The heroine replies that he is not awake yet and adds that she was just on her way to see him. The boys offer to accompany her so she won't feel lonely. The heroine agrees and they continue on their way together. She apologizes for the suddenness, but the boys reassure her, saying it's okay. The heroine explains that she feels better after their conversation. One of the boys asks if her father is awake, to which the heroine replies that he isn't yet. She begins to cry, and the boys ask if she's okay. The heroine confesses that when she saw them, she couldn't help herself. The boys comfort her, telling her that everything will be okay, and the heroine thanks them for their support. The boys tell the heroine that it's okay to cry, they are there for her. The heroine says that she thought she was being hunted by monsters, but it turned out to be the evil god himself. She was scared, but her father saved them. The boys ask if the evil god was really that strong. The heroine says that he can only be defeated by 3 as strong as her father. One of the boys wonders how she knew this. She explains that she communicated with her father's spirit, who gave her permission. One of the boys marvels that she was able to get the spirit's permission. He is sure that she will become a great sorceress like her father. The heroine is doubtful, but the boys encourage her, saying that she definitely has talent. The heroine decides that she needs to become as strong as her father, and next time she will drive away the evil god. One of the boys promises to fulfill the role of the third strong one and says that together they can win. The heroine thanks the boys for their support, and they confidently say that the 4 of them can easily handle any threat. The boys tell the heroine that she is allowed to cry. They are there for her. The heroine thanks them for their support. Ivan and Faye hug her tightly, comforting her. Later, the heroine is at her father's bedside. She tells him that she doesn't want to think that she became a princess only to have him die. She prays for him to recover and remembers how much he has done for her. She confesses that she didn't initially see him as a real father because she remembered her past life. But he gave her so much love that she began to love him too. The heroine prays and asks God to let her father recover, hoping that he will come to his senses soon. She believes that all will be well and her prayers will be answered. The heroine sees a stranger and asks who she is. The stranger replies that she is a good god. The heroine is surprised, not believing her eyes, and asks her not to disappear and to save her father. The stranger smiles and says that it is her and the heroine's secret. The heroine notices that the stranger has disappeared and hears her father moaning. He comes to his senses and calls her name. The heroine exclaims with relief, hugging him and glad that he is awake. The father tells him that he saw a dream in which the heroine died on her 17th birthday. In the dream, an evil god was chasing her and the father tried to protect her, but accidentally killed her. The father admits that this was in the original story. The heroine is shocked, realizing that her fate could have been like this. The heroine comforts her father, saying it was just a dream. She holds his hands, trying to support him. The father recalls the events and realizes that he was tricked by an evil god, causing him to kill those he wanted to protect. He is overcome with sadness. The doctors examine the father and are surprised at how quickly he has recovered. They say his body is completely healthy. The heroine remembers that the god said it was their secret, so they shouldn't say who cured him. The father decides to get some fresh air and suggests they take a walk on the balcony. The heroine agrees and they go out on the balcony. The father asks if she is okay and thanks her for her help. He confesses that if it weren't for her, the evil god would have killed him. Father tells her that on the day she was born, another evil god came for her. He surrounded the room with a powerful magical barrier to protect them, but the mother used her son's magic to defeat the god. Unfortunately, everyone who was with them died. The heroine is shocked to learn the truth about the mother and the evil gods. The father admits that he ordered everyone to keep quiet about what happened so as not to cause panic. He explains that if the truth comes out, another evil god will surely try to attack them. The father tells the heroine that ever since she came into his life, she has been the only reason he lives. He is willing to freeze the entire world without regrets to protect her. The heroine asks if he loved her mother. Her father tells her that her mother, Layla, was a princess of the kingdom of Mutra, which they defeated. He took her as his wife, hoping she would bear a child with powerful magical powers. At first he had no feelings for her, but she soon became indispensable to him. The heroine listens attentively to his story. The father continues that after his daughter was born, monsters and evil gods began to hunt them. He admits that this is his fault and promises to destroy the evil god even at the cost of his life. The heroine strongly objects, saying that they can defeat him together. She promises to learn magic and fight alongside him. Her father warns her that using magic might attract monsters, but she is sure that this is their chance. The heroine is determined to become stronger and protect her family. She declares that she will defeat all who stand in her way, for she is the daughter of the Ice Emperor. Her father looks at her with wonder and admiration, calling her strange but brave. Her father remembers how the heroine, as a baby, looked as if she understood everything that was being said around her. He notices that she always smiled innocently in front of him, that at times she spoke and acted so funny that he did not see her as a child. He wonders if children grow up so fast. The heroine smiles at him and offers to teach her magic. Her father agrees, but warns her that it won't be easy. She replies that being the daughter of an ice emperor isn't easy either. Father remembers how he began to realize why she had burned out. The god of this world wants her and the world to perish. The heroine wants to protect her father and the world. Her father agrees with her determination and smiles. She senses that he wants to help her, and this brings her joy. He recalls how another evil god came into their lives and that it was an uphill battle. At this time, the evil god who survived the attack vows to return in 7 years and win. He plans to seize the heroine's power and use it for his own purposes. A little girl screams in fear, her mother trying to protect her. The heroine appears and summons a spirit of ice, saying the incantation, "Freeze the flying dark stars." The mother and child are safe, and they thank the heroine. A monster appears on the scene, and the heroine engages in battle with it. The heroine's friends join the battle, and together they defeat the monster. After the battle, the heroine thanks her friends, Ivan and Faye, for their help. The heroine invites them to a banquet in honor of her 17th birthday. Captain Kevin reports that they have exterminated the monsters in the Foxia area. The heroine, Ivan, and Faye discuss installing barrier crystals that will now protect the area from weak monsters. Ivan and Faye ask to be trained in magic as well, as the heroine was trained by her father. The heroine appeals to her father to allow her friends to study with her. The heroine's father agrees, but warns that the training will be difficult and fighting the dark god will not be easy. Ivan and Faye accept the challenge, preparing for the rigors of training. The heroine's father says they will train together, and the heroine will teach her friends magic, with a gradual increase in difficulty level. The captain asks the heroine if she is hurt, to which she replies in the negative. He asks her to be careful and not to let the princess get injured. Faye and Ivan confirm his words. Marina, the heroine's friend, asks sadly if the heroine really wants to fight monsters again, since tomorrow is her birthday. The heroine explains that the monsters have become more active lately, and she wants to help. Marina says that the banquet has already been postponed, and laughs that they are no longer children. The heroine agrees and thanks her for understanding. Marina gives the heroine a gift, explaining that she thought the heroine would be busy. The heroine receives a beautiful handkerchief and thanks Marina. Remembering what Marina gave her when they first met, the heroine sees a teddy bear. The heroine's nanny congratulates her on successfully completing the task of destroying the monsters. She asks the heroine to rest and wishes her a good night. The heroine lies in bed and reflects that she can't stop thinking about tomorrow. She realizes that nothing happened on her 17th birthday and concludes that something might happen at the banquet. She decides that she will no longer be weak and prepares for the banquet. The nanny compliments her on her beautiful appearance, and the heroine thanks her. The heroine's father appears in the doorway and asks if she is ready. The heroine replies with a smile that it is a gift from her. The father looks proud and thoughtful. He looked admiringly at his daughter and said she was beautiful. She smiled and thanked him. He held out his hand to her, telling her it was time to go. She replied, "Aha," and took his hand. In the hall they were greeted and congratulated. He noticed that she looked gloomy and asked if something was bothering her. She was surprised and replied that she did not feel the aura of an evil god, and if she smiled, troubles would pass her by. He reassured her and told her to rejoice. She was called to dance. She smiled and agreed. The two young men began to argue over who would dance first, but he stopped them. The father declared that he would dance first. She danced with him and looked happy. Everyone congratulated them on the holiday. A young man approached the heroine and said that they had decided that he would be the first to dance with her. The other young man objected that the one who was stronger should dance first and said that he was the one. They began to argue about which one was stronger and who would be first. The heroine noticed that they still hadn't decided who was stronger and suggested that they figure it out for themselves. The girl approached the heroine and complimented her on her beautiful dance with her father. She asked if the heroine would like to dance with her now. The heroine agreed and thanked her. They danced and enjoyed the festivities. The heroine's father stood on the balcony and reflected on the fact that nothing had happened. He was alert and suspected that something might happen. Suddenly he felt someone's presence and turned around sharply. He was surrounded by dark entities. The heroine was enjoying the festivities and rejoicing. However, her celebration was interrupted by a sudden attack. The heroine suddenly sensed something amiss and stopped, asking what was going on. The woman next to her noticed it too and looked worried. The heroine shouted to Kate to stay put and ran to check what was wrong. She was confused because everything around her was frozen. She saw that everything was frozen and realized that something was wrong. The heroine thought she would find the source of the problem. Suddenly, her father appeared in front of her. He ordered her to leave. She screamed that he was not the man she knew. The heroine's father warned her that the evil god was already here. She realized it was serious and told him he was cursed. He agreed and confirmed that he was indeed cursed. The heroine realized that they now had a chance to save themselves and told him that they had to act. Her father again ordered her to run. She figured that in this form, her father wouldn't be able to protect her. He ordered her to run again, but she refused. The heroine remembered how he had always protected her and said that now she had to protect him. She promised that she would not give up. They began to fight together, and the heroine summoned an ice spirit to stop the evil god. The heroine realized something was wrong when everything froze. She realized that the situation was critical and something had to be done immediately. One of the servants shouted, asking what was wrong, and she replied that she could not open the doors. The heroine thought that if they stayed where they were, they would be trapped. She had to find a way to get out. The heroine's father also realized that everything was frozen. He knew it could be a trap. The heroine thought that her father wouldn't be able to fight in his current state. She decided to find others and break the spell. She met her friends and they asked if she was all right. She confirmed that she was fine and told them that her father had protected her and cast a protection spell. They were surprised and saw the spirit for the first time. the heroine realized that she had survived because of him. The heroine's father told the evil god that he would fight him to the end, protecting his loved ones. Dea and her friends watch her father fight the enemy. She calls out to him, and he realizes something has gone wrong. The enemy is thrown back, and he notices that his spell has been broken. Faye and Ivan discuss trusting Dea and trying to buy time. They see the enemy trying to regain his strength and swearing that he can't move because of them. Faye ponders that even ordinary wounds don't kill the enemy and prepares for the next battle, realizing the gravity of the situation. Ivan also realizes that their enemy has terrifying magical power, and his confidence begins to waver. The enemy scoffs at their attempts and claims that they will not be able to stop him. Ivan decisively tells the enemy that he will not get off so easily after attacking the princess. The enemy scoffs, remembering how he has fully recovered in 10 years and managed to absorb a lot of magical powers. He believes that their blood has strengthened him and doesn't worry about the future. Faye replies that the question is not whether they can defeat him. Ivan and Faye concentrate their strength as they prepare for battle. They believe they can defeat the enemy, but realize that the task is not easy. The enemy continues to taunt, claiming that they can't kill him. Ivan and Faye show amazing coordination and effort in their attack, using all of their magical power. The enemy, however, still seems to be full of confidence, believing that he is much stronger. He is surprised by their perseverance and begins to question whether he can win. At this time, huge wolves with intimidating fangs begin to appear around them. Ivan and Faye realize that the enemy is not giving up yet and is preparing new challenges. They resolutely engage the wolves, preparing for the final battle. The blood does not stop, and the hero wonders if it is because of the power of an evil god that this is happening. He holds her in his arms and sees that she is growing weaker. She quietly calls him Papa and says she is glad to see him back to his old self. She is sorry that she was wrong at such an important moment and her old dream has come true. She realizes that her strength is leaving her and she feels like she is dying. She doesn't want that, knowing that her father might then do the same thing as in the original story. She apologizes and says she has one last wish. Even if she dies, she asks him not to be sad. The hero can't understand her words and asks how he can't be sad after his daughter's death. She reveals that she is not really his daughter and her real name is Rihanna. She reveals that she read a book that describes the events of this world and is from another world herself. In the book, Princess Dea died on her birthday, and the next day she woke up in Princess Diana's body. She knew that the plot had her facing a sad ending, and did everything she could to avoid it. However, it turned out that all the events that happened were because of her. She admits that she tried to avoid her death and looked for a way to survive when the world was destroyed. She sees that her father was a kind man and tried to prevent her fate, even though it could have harmed those around her. She revealed that she didn't act the way she did in the original story, but even when events deviated from the original plot, she still couldn't escape death at the age of 17. The girl smiles and says that it was probably destined to happen. She realizes that Dea is going to die. But if he doesn't destroy the world, life will go on. The man ponders that if this is true, it becomes clear why she has been acting strangely since childhood. But then it appears that he, without knowing anything, allowed Leela to die twice. He holds her hand, reassuring her that she's not dead yet. Losing her is the end of the world to him. If she wants the world to live, she must not accept such a fate. He asks her to live and not die before him. Dea thinks he is right. She can't die now. She has to live. Dea starts to lose consciousness. He calls out to her in desperation, begging her to hold on. She regains consciousness in an unknown place and asks where she is and what happened to her. She finds herself in a golden cage and is horrified to think that she may have died. She ponders if her life full of hardships has ended so ridiculously. She still has a lot to do, and she can't afford to die. Determined to change the ending, she tries to get out of the cage. A woman with long blue hair appears in front of her and smiles softly. The hero calls out to her, but the woman disappears. The man who was holding her doesn't realize what has happened. She suddenly comes to life and has wings. The man, surprised, calls her name. A man fends off an attack from a huge wolf using his magic. His comrade, standing nearby, thanks him for his help. One of them notices that the villain shows no physical or magical strength. They discuss that the pace is draining their powers. The villain decides to cover the heroes with his monsters. He says that if they are hungry, he will feed them. The heroine uses her magic to create a protective barrier, calling on her friends to protect her. She asks them to apologize for the delay and inquires about their condition. Her comrades report that her wound has healed. They marvel at her new abilities and ask what her wings are. The heroine explains that she received the power from Lamaltius to defeat the villain. The villain realizes that she is special and different. This angers him even more, and he decides to destroy her at all costs. The villain smiles. His desire to eat the heroine intensifies. He wonders if the wings will change the taste of her flesh. One of her comrades asks if she has any strength left. She confirms that she does, and recalls how they hardened themselves 7 years ago. They decide not to give up until they defeat him. The hero creates a barrier and asks the heroine to attack at full power. She declares that she will freeze him as his monsters. He barely dodges and starts laughing, calling her stupid. He scoffs at her attempts to defend the country, finding her attacks boring. The villain warns that if she really wants to kill him, she will have to fight him, being prepared to destroy the entire empire. The time has come for the decisive battle. The villain begins to show his power, saying that this is the beginning of the end. The heroine is horrified and asks what it is. Her comrade explains that it is a blob of powerful negative energy, Samapia. One of her friends tries to hold it back, but the heroine's body is paralyzed and she can barely maintain the barrier. The man recalls how he spent 7 whole years gathering human fears and despair to create this, including the fear of an evil god being reborn. Once this orb falls to the ground, the entire empire will be plunged into darkness. The darkness will consume the entire world, but the heroine will not disappear after receiving Amalanche's blessing. The villain says that if the heroine surrenders to him right now, he will change his mind. One of her friends asks her not to listen to him. He adds that even if the world is saved by her sacrifice, it will still perish. The heroine decides that they must defeat the villain. The villain continues to taunt, asking if she agrees. He threatens to destroy them along with the country. Her friends are at their wits' end, and her father spends all his energy maintaining the barrier. The heroine feels pain and heaviness, but remembers that she had it much worse in her past life. The heroine remembers how she had to endure humiliation and injustice in the past, but now she has power. The villain is horrified to realize that the situation reminds him of the events of 7 years ago. He shouts to be out of the way. The man notices that his magical power is being restored and he feels better. Together with his allies, he declares that he will not allow the villain to do anything. They are ready to fight to the end. The villain tries to free himself, but his powers are weakened. He realizes that his plan is falling apart. The heroine and her allies are confident of their victory. The hero threatens that the villain will regret going after his daughter. They see that the dark energy is not yet gone. The heroine realizes that fighting the darkness may be even harder than fighting the enemy. The heroine feels that she has no strength and realizes that it must be stopped. The hero sees that Feli is at her limit and can't take it anymore. He asks the heroine to rest the empire with a barrier, and he himself is going to freeze the darkness. The man says that this will require a huge amount of energy. He is ready, for he is the emperor of the Freeze Empire. He is willing to sacrifice his life to protect his country. The heroine looks at him with concern and calls him daddy. The man admits that he was a bad father, but she was too good a daughter for him. He asks her to be happy, and it doesn't matter who she really is. He wanted to make her happy her whole life. The heroine begins to cry, realizing the gravity of the moment. The man closes his eyes and dissolves into light, leaving the heroine and her allies surrounded by a blue glow. The hero says that if the heroine goes missing, who will rule the country? She stays. There is no time. He trusts her with the rest. The man says he has been watching them since they were children. They will be a good support for the heroine. He hopes that after his death, the heroine will choose one of them to be her husband and become empress of the Freeze Empire. The heroine asks to be allowed to help, but the man refuses, pointing out that they have already used up a lot of energy. The heroine asks the man to stop. The heroine is sure that they can't let him die as well. But the man says that she too has used up a lot of energy. The heroine promises to help him. The man worries that if something happens to her, she reassures him that they will all make it through and survive. He looks at the heroine and thinks that she still has so much strength, and perhaps she really is under Amalancha's protection. The man asks if the heroine believes in them, to which she answers in the affirmative and asks him not to exhaust himself before she does. The heroine urges the man to turn everything to ice. At this point, she wakes up in her room and notices a woman beside her. The heroine explains that she has been sleeping a lot lately and has gotten lazy, but now needs to shoot monsters again. The woman apologizes to Princess Dea and they discuss the events. The heroine recalls how she and the emperor sealed the evil god Gargeld and that it's been a month since that day. They were in ice, but they were not harmed by the god, and the ice served to protect them. After being freed from the ice, the heroine was very exhausted, but was able to recover. The woman reminds her that the evil god is gone and the heroine should not exert herself, but the woman apologizes for making her worry. The woman reminds her that it's time to get ready. The man thanks Ivan and Faye for their efforts in sealing the evil god Gargeld and protecting the Freeze Empire. He promises to reward them for their efforts. The girl thanks everyone and rejoices that they were able to stop the evil. The man notes that this was possible thanks to his daughter, without whom not only the empire, but also the whole world would have perished. The heroine calls him daddy and admits that he was the best father for her. She asks everyone there to remember that she protected them and the country. Several years pass. The empire celebrates the end of the battle and the return of peace. The heroes enjoy a peaceful life, knowing that the heroine will forever remain in their hearts as Princess Dea who saved their world. She waits for Faye, who has yet to arrive. He wrote a letter saying he wanted to meet her right after the ceremony. The girl arrives too early. She enjoys the world around her and remembers how much she valued her life in this world. Suddenly, Faye appears and apologizes for being late, explaining that he kept her waiting. Faye thanks her for coming, despite her business. He gets straight to the point and says he has something to say after the fight. The girl recalls their first meeting, when she ran out of the room. Faye admits that he's been fascinated by her since the day he saw her fall off the roof. He always felt they were connected and considered her his guardian angel. Faye says that ever since they met, he realized that he wanted to always be there for her and protect her. He proposes to her by extending his hand. She is looking at a book with a picture of the emperor and his daughter on the cover. Her interlocutor asks if she knows the book. She replies that she does and that she liked the way the emperor took care of his daughter. Her friend is surprised and asks how she could like a book with such an unpleasant ending. She thinks about it and opens the book, noticing that the plot seems to have changed. A handsome wizard and a handsome knight have appeared in the book, though they weren't there before. Meanwhile, Faye confesses her love to Lady Di. She is happy to hear this, but says she needs time to think. Faye understands and asks her to give her an answer when she is ready. She reflects on Faye's confession and what her father told her about choosing between Faye and Ivan after his death. She is excited and pleased by Faye's confession, but also a little confused. At this point, Ivan appears and addresses the princess. Ivan asks Dea if she is ready for the banquet. She replies that she is, and Ivan leaves, wishing her goodbye. Daya, blushing, is surprised at his attentiveness. Ivan notices her blushing and asks if something has happened. Daya, embarrassed, does not know what to answer. Ivan guesses that Faye confessed his love for her and says that he knew about it because Faye told him before the ceremony. Faye explains to Ivan that he wants to confess his feelings to Daya and that he doesn't want to waste time. Ivan, in turn, explains that he doesn't want to compete with Faye, but he wants to be honest. Ivan confesses his feelings to Daya, saying that he has always treated her like a sister, but now he sees her as a beautiful princess. He asks to be allowed to protect her and love her, whomever she chooses. Daya, confused and excited, is surprised by Ivan's confession. She did not expect him to confess his love to her either and does not know what to do next. Daya is getting ready for the banquet, but you can see the excitement on her face. She asks Kelly what she should do since Ivan and Faye have confessed their love to her. Kelly says it's no big deal and asks her to calm down. Kelly wonders which one of them she likes better. Daya begins to ponder. Faye seems mature and calm, kind and always worried about her. Ivan is energetic and cheerful, doesn't blame her for her mistakes, and is always supportive. Daya cannot make a decision, as both are dear to her. Suddenly, her father appears and asks what is going on. He heard the conversation and asks them not to pressurize Daya, as she is not ready to answer such questions yet. Her father says that if they want to take Daya as their wife, they must first defeat him. Daya recalls that father said that after he died, one of them would become her spouse, and is perplexed as to why he changed his mind so abruptly. Father explains that he wants to see them fight to determine who is worthy of Daya. He assures her that she will be happy and promises that her life will be without bad ends. Together with the others, they prepare for future trials and celebrations. Daya smiles and reflects on the difficulties ahead, but with her father and friends, she will be fine. She realizes that it is not easy being the daughter of an ice emperor. The end.